So the next session is hosted by Shitij Gupta from Altcoin Buzz. It's on investments in Web3. I'd like to call upon Shitij, Manish, Shreyansh, and Nitin and Pratik on stage. Yeah. Manish, yeah, on stage.
Hey guys, we let the crew get together. I'll start with a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Shitij Gupta. I'm currently the CFO and the CIO for Altcoin Buzz and Engine Starter. We're helping games, projects go from the Web 2.0 to the 3.0 space. That includes, I think Pratik gave a rundown of what we've been up to. But we're helping projects go from the very early stages of incubation to acceleration, to fundraise, to their TGE or their token generation event, to listing on certain exchanges. Now, it all sounds very complicated, and I know token is the buzzword for today. So we'll talk a lot more about it. What I'd like to do is go around the table, have the speakers introduce themselves, and then we'll divide the topic or the board here into three parts. We'll talk about what do game studios need, what do investors want apart from the returns, and how do you carry on a successful funding from a game perspective. So Shreyansh, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, this is Shreyansh. I used to lead Polygon's entire gaming ecosystem. Now I'm leading the venture arm of Polygon. I've been part of Polygon's ecosystem for almost 3 years now. Thank you.
Hi, all checks here. So all of you get ready with your pitches and catch hold of him. Hi, this is Manish here, Nazara CEO, and I'm just building my thesis here on Web3 with the help of Shreyansh and Pratik. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Pratik. I represent Accel and I cover crypto for Accel. We've been very active investors in the last couple of years. And now we are hoping to do more than just investment and help accelerate the oncoming of this entire crypto economy.
Okay, awesome. So Manish, I'll start with you. I know you manage a game studio and you've been part of the ecosystem from a Web 2.0 perspective. What are some of the challenges that traditional game studios, smaller game studios, even the medium to the big ones, what are they facing today? And how is it that we can go on about solving their issues in the 3.0 space? So let's start with the challenges first.
So I think if you look at it, these are studios which have made successful games. They already have good engagement attention. They're monetizing currently. Now, this Web3 space is new for them, and there are three things which they would like to understand, right? And I'm talking from my own perspective when I'm working with the teams. One is your current game design, game economy design. How does it really kind of change in line with the Web3, whether it's NFT? How do you create a core loop between primary to secondary market so that you can make it play and earn? How do you really, if at all, you have fancy for tokens, and I have my point of view and I'll tell you, but if you want to kind of launch tokens, how do you really kind of deeply entwine it with your game design so that the sourcing, supply, demand is something which you can manage? So that's the tokenomics part, and tokenomics is not just the allocation of who gets whom. Yeah, just so that, just to make it clear, right? Second thing is the entire mumbo jumbo around the various components on friction, KYC, custodial, non. There's so much of Greek and Latin which gets thrown to you when you kind of talk. And people can just get overwhelmed with that. How do you kind of really simplify a tech stack which can really help you to transition your current game and bring it to on-chain, in Web3. So I think that piece has so many players, so many infrastructure solutions. Everybody is saying, my shirt is whiter than other shirt. So who's saying what, God knows, right? So that's the second piece, which is a challenge. And then third piece is, there is a huge desire or FOMO or peer pressure, which happens, my NFTs got sold in 15 minutes or 15 seconds or even 5 seconds. Now, how the hell that happened, I don't know. How do you generate so many consumers all of a sudden? But there's a massive FOMO, and then there's market making, listing, all of them. Somebody who has been making nicely games, thinking about consumer cohort, suddenly is dealing with a new beast of market making. These are some of the things, 3 things which I would kind of call them out, which kind of confuses the a game dev studio, and that's what needs to be simplified.
Okay. Pratik, do you have any thoughts? And so it's mostly the challenges that game studios are facing today. The capital crunch is one, right? So we of course see the capital being there in the crypto space or the Web 3.0 space, but the gamers still being in that Web 2.0 sphere. So from a non-capital perspective, what are some of the other challenges that you've seen gaming studios and games go through, as they're developing and building communities?
I think right now, big challenge is just an incumbent mindset, right? Because as Manish was saying, these are established businesses. They have a way of working, and they know the playbook. What do they need to do to achieve repeated success? And here you're promising something which is very alien, as Manish described, like very challenging, with some theoretical promise that this may be like even better or larger over time. But there are no role models today. Like today, if you talk to like a tier 1 publisher, and Shreyansh can add from his experiences, they would find like, okay, I would not put my main IPs on this today. I would start with something on the side to experiment. Because somebody has to explain and somebody has to show a role model that something which is truly enduring, enjoyable, and true to the crypto ethos has come about. So right now we are in this places where there are like these early proof points of excitement and euphoria. Now you could argue there is a lot of good intent people who are working on it, but there isn't anything out there which already works, at least to my knowledge.
Awesome. And I think that's more real, right? Because we're going through the early stages of evolution, and it's good to at least establish the fact that we're not there yet, right? We are seeing a few spurts and growths of, that seedling turning into a little plant, but we haven't seen a full-blown tree yet. So, Shreyansh, I think from your perspective, tell us, what do now investors, and when you're going around writing checks, as we all know, what is it that you are looking at, Web 2.0 games and projects, when you're doing your thing?
I would say pretty basic things, like what's the background of the founders and what they're trying to achieve, because everyone is promising a lot in Web3 and not by being able to deliver anything so far. And still, there are talent drain in terms of talent, and we are seeing massive people coming into the space from publisher background, ex-Activision, ex-Blizzard folks, because capital is the easiest commodity in the space. Everyone is literally throwing millions of worth of grants, not even funding, to these projects. And they feel like, okay, they definitely have an edge over Web3 game developers, because Web3 game developers are not game developers, essentially. So in some way, they need a lot of hand-holding rather than just the capital bet. So we also see, okay, what do you want from us, rather than just the capital? And some of them are like, okay, we already have all the things figured out, but actually they haven't figured out anything. So we try to support in those times, or on those terms as well. If they're not comfortable with it, then we back out. Because everyone is thinking, okay, we'll do token, we'll do this play to earn thing as well, it's cool. Let's do it. And NFTs, they're flooding the market with NFTs which are not required. There's no utility behind those NFTs, those tokens, and they don't even realize. They think, okay, token is something that everyone does, so we'll also put a token in our game and it'll drive the economy. And I feel creating a game with a sustainable game economy, that's the biggest challenge of Web3, because everyone who's coming from the Web2 side of things, they're not familiar with this territory. It's entirely a new world. So you have to cater towards high frequency traders who are not gamers, essentially. They don't play games. They're high frequency NFT flippers, low frequency as ones, then the gamers, then you have to cater to the guild economy. So there are a bunch of things, personas that you have to take into account. I don't think anyone has actually figured this out. Maybe a couple of teams that we've recently spoken to, but otherwise, all are like a very good gaming talent, but still, it will take a lot to crack Web3.
And I think that's the bottom line, right? So as Shreyansh mentioned, and we had Siddharth talk from the Tech Bros about the token utility aspect of things and the circular economy as you get into the game. So that's one of the key aspects. and the challenges as you enter the Web 2.0 to the 3.0 space. From an investor perspective, so Manish, I think we want to get your thoughts as well, that from an investor perspective, what is it that you're looking in the traditional gaming space, in the metaverse space? What are you looking at projects in order for them, to be successful?
I think first I look for a mindset of going for a marathon rather than for a 300-meter relay. Like, that's to me is super important, because as all of us discuss, we are all figuring out. We are all figuring out. We have so many unknowns, little knowns. And that mindset to really kind of soak in and then figure out, evolve, rather than saying that I'm going to launch my token, I'm going to take this value, I'm going to make this much. Those are some of the opening remarks when I see, I run away, right? Second thing which I personally do it, I ask them to explain me what are you trying to do without using any jargons of Web3. If they can explain me what is the problem statement they are trying to solve and why blockchain as a technology is central to that problem solution, then I know that there is a deep thinking which is happening and the team is not a tourist. These are the two things which I look at.
Pratik?
Similar stuff to what Manish and Shreyansh said. I think intent is a big issue right now. It's very, Manish used the word tourists, there are a lot of them. Right. And like the kind of marketing that unfortunately crypto has is also a little bit dark. Like, I don't know, get rich quick, pump and dump, this and that. So I think it attracts a lot of undesirable actors. So intent is a big issue. So if you find a team that has the long-term intent and they have some insight that makes sense, that there is demand for, and it solves a problem, I think those are quite scarce right now.
So long-term vision and some kind of intellect that goes into the pitch deck and the team creation, the team background, that sort of helps you guys decide, that whether this is something that can port to Web 3.0, whether these guys will be successful or not. Okay, so Shreyansh, from a game perspective, like how would they even go on about doing their fundraise, right? Like, so imagine that, we have folks in the crowd today that have a game or are running a game studio, have certain IPs, maybe have a community. How is it that, they would go on about investing the money they need for a runway for the next 3 to 5 years? And, obviously capitalizing and leveraging, some of the folks that they met here.
I would say, like what Manish mentioned, it's more about the mindset of the founder. If they already have a successful product in Web 2 and already users, like Web 3 doesn't have users. There's a lot of speculation, but not users. So if they already have a good traction and they're open to it, then like we're literally hand-holding a lot of projects, and I think entire Web 3 ecosystem is pretty open, and everyone supports everyone. So I don't feel like they'll face any challenges in that sense. Like NDGG is there, like what we are doing, we're trying to do with NDGG as well. That team is also supporting a lot of teams. Right. Same Polygon is doing another, like you must have heard about different incubators running. So they are literally hand-holding throughout the journey with everything for these games. And I think that's the best way to go about it. But the mindset has to be there, like you're open to adapting new things. That's the biggest challenge. Otherwise, if you feel, we already have a superior product and we'll do whatever you want to do, you won't be able to sustain.
Got it. So, Manish, I think this question is more for you. From a gaming/metaverse, so the two different things, right? And I think metaverse is sort of the next, if you think about the virtual real estate side to things. And of course, it's going to open up, and there's so many metaverses and virtual lands out there. And then you have games such as first-person shootouts or role-playing games, or even casual gaming for that matter, right? So those are two lines that you have from a product perspective. How do you see these two play out? Do you foresee big gaming names, that the big houses like the Activision Blizzards of the world taking their AAA games and now getting into Web 3.0, and parallelly somebody like a Facebook, Meta getting into the whole metaverse side of things? Or do you see, new players coming around the block and having a consolidation within the next 3 to 5 years? Like, how do you see this playing out?
See, I believe, as you rightly said, there are there are two paths, right? Uh, Ultimately, you can create a virtual destination and you can sell land. But if you were to kind of take a step back, there are two archetypes. One is an investor archetype and one is a player archetype. Land sale is an investor archetype which you are attracting and simulating in the real life. That guy is putting a capex and saying that I'm hoping that this will create an economic yield over future because a lot of players or a lot of service providers will come and use this asset. The true engagement is going to happen by games or gamified kind of offerings which will come on that platform. And hence, are these two independent threads? I'm not sure about that, right? On a metaverse, some engagement has to happen, some activities have to happen, and those activities will be games or gamified offerings. And hence, now the question is not about two independent threads. Question is, when you as a developer, are you building a game or are you trying to build a destination where other developers can also come and build the game, right? I think that's the nuance which one needs to look at. Like my approach here is you need to play to your strengths, right? Rather than getting a FOMO of saying that I'll create a land and land NFT can sell and I can figure that piece out or make some money and count it as your quote unquote revenue. Total wrong thinking, absolutely wrong thinking. Now, if you are a developer who understands how to make good game, how to make a great consumer engagement retention, then please make a game. You don't have to get FOMO'd by saying that XYZ has sold land and XYZ has become so millionaire and billionaire and all that stuff. Just stick to yours because even if you put a land and then you orchestrate through, the new term which I have learned is market making, somebody is able to kind of really generate some sales for you, that's not going to last. So I would say that stick to your strength. Now to answer your question, if I'm sitting at Facebook, I have the community. I can leverage that community and I have a destination. My mindset and DNA is a destination. I will build something on which others can go and co-create and I have community who can use that, right? However, if I'm Activision Blizzard, I would kind of make games. If I am Fortnite, I'm already an endless ecosystem. So depending upon what you already have, play to your strength and you will be successful.
Awesome. I think that was a great answer. Pratik, your thoughts on the metaverse versus games and this landscape for the next 3 to 5 years?
I think, like, personally, I feel metaverse is very overused and very loosely used term. Like, I don't know if anybody can precisely define. Like, to me, any environment on chain where people spend time is a metaverse. To me, even Uniswap is a metaverse. Because there are a lot of people spend a lot of time on Uniswap doing whatever trading. It's just a different kind of metaverse where people spend time or interested in trading or speculation or whatever else. So game is a subset of a metaverse. Metaverse is a digital environment on chain. That's how I define it. And so you could create any open-ended environment, like Manish mentioned a little bit about Fortnite. Like, is it a game? Is it something more than that? Hard to say, right? So I think people need to just think about different human needs and where people spend time in the physical environment. Like, so for example, I'd be curious to see if somebody creates like a digital replacement for like third wave coffee, right? It's a meeting place where people hang out. There is some innate recurring need where people want to meet their friends and have a good time. Like, why can't that be done in a digital environment? It's much more exciting and it's on chain.
Right. You're absolutely right. And like, I was reading a Citibank report that mentioned that out of the 4.6 billion people that are online in the world or have access to internet, regular internet, roughly 70% play games in one shape or form, right? Now, they can be casual games, AAA games. So it doesn't matter. Like, I think gaming will be the core component and metaverse display will be a widely used term. Okay, from a game standpoint, in today's world, what are more of the type of games that you're seeing in the market? Are you seeing more casual games where you don't need a big studio to build a casual game, but you can get access to players easily? Or are you seeing more like AAA rated games, big setups, big tournaments happening, like a PUBG kind of a thing? So Shreyansh, we'll start with you. Like, what sort of people and game studios are coming to you? And tell us a little bit, or give us an overview of what you're seeing, in the market from a gamer's perspective.
I'd say majorly most of the folks we are speaking to, they're trying to replicate something that is already successful in Web 2. Let's say everyone is promising, okay, we'll build Roblox for Web 3, sort of a Roblox environment, promising Fortnite, and this will be the next PUBG. I don't think that is a natural fit for Web 3, and that's why they'll fail. But I think that's the major gist what we are seeing, and there are too many promises floating around for a AAA gaming studio. And I don't feel like the entire Web3 industry, I would say infra, is ready for a AAA game yet. At least a 2 to 3 years journey for now. And they're raising some money and, like I said, promises. And I don't think we'll be able to see anything in the coming 1 or 2 years.
So latency is one of the issues that...
Like something I believe like gaming infra is something that has to be a key component. That's what we are bullish upon because in Web3, entire industry is in very nascent stages, especially gaming, and there's no gaming infra. Even like wallet experience is very bad, pretty shit. In Web3, I think only one or a couple of teams are trying to solve that. And gaming, and we are like super bullish on gaming infra. We want someone to build a Steam for Web3. Like how TechGrow is building an NFT exchange for Web3 and the Sequence wallet team who's building, I think that's by far the best wallet experience we've seen so far. So before games, at least build the gaming infra first.
Manish, your thoughts on that?
See, I think a lot of games which I am seeing are being targeted to crypto natives, and that's underlying behavior is speculation. So your prediction-based games, your games which are tournaments in nature, so they are not very difficult to make, and they are more kind of a programmatic, algorithmic-driven, which you can
token-driven, not
exactly,
gaming-driven.
not a content art-heavy kind of gaming. So those are the things which are, because you have an early cohort of who are the people who are already on chain, who are playing, you understand them, you understand the limitation of the chain, and hence you are kind of creating those kind of games which can really scale in the first wave of what I call the current gaming. Obviously, the second cohort which I see is a lot of Axis clones in different form, shape. कोई कबूतर होगा तो कोई बत्तख होगा कोई कुछ होगा, so something you will see that. And yeah, a lot of people are kind of really creating that piece. I think now, at least last 7-8 months, I'm seeing a lot of Web 2.0 mid-sized studios, not the big ones. The mid-sized studios have started looking at how do I really build something meaningful in Web 3. And so I'm very hopeful that in next 1 year, a lot of projects, how much of chain can support it in terms of infra and all, we will see. Because these games, let's say if we bring a cricket game, it'll have 2 million DAO. Now, even if I get 500,000 DAO, I would be the biggest game in Web3 in the world, right? Whether the chain collapses, not collapses, I don't know.
Right. Okay. I think, Pratik, I think I'll shift a question a little bit for you. So, of course, the gaming and the metaverse Web 3.0 space is big, but there's this natural shift to move to earn, right? So you're doing a bunch of things and you're dancing and running and this and that. So Step-In was a recent example that launched on Solana, right? So what do you think about move to earn? Do you think that this is something that we're going towards as the next Axie infinity of the play to earn era?
See, my job requires me to be an optimist. Hard to be optimist about that. But like the most optimistic thing I've seen is there's a company called Sweatcoin. I don't know if people know of it. It's a Web 2 company, nothing to do with Web 3 for now. But they have a similar product, which is essentially that you move and you earn their coins, like Web 2 coins, not cryptocurrencies. And the idea is that's a marketing platform, that it self-selects a lot of 64 million users, which is quite a lot. It self-selects people who are health-focused. And so all the brands that want to market to those people can market through Sweatcoin. So it's kind of like how Cred filters out all the credit card users, and then the brands can market the credit card users. Similarly, Sweatcoin has a somewhat enduring model where everybody who's health-focused is segregated and can be targetedly focused through the Sweatcoin marketplace. But that's a very small business. Like, how much can you make by affiliate fees on some brands' acquisition spend? So I don't know what StepIn has in plan. I'm sure they're smart guys, but like right now it just feels like a lot of hype.
Yeah, it's like you run 15,000 steps and you win $100 or 6,000 rupees, and it's a lot of money, right? So at the end of the day, that's a simple idea. Also, it's health focused, right? I mean, I just thought it was amazing, but it was an Axie Infinity moment for me because Axie Infinity changed countries' economies, shifted people from the agricultural side of things to the earning side of things, right? So I was just wondering, Shreyansh, what are your thoughts on another move to earn or something similar?
I really don't understand the economy model, like how it's bound to fail. I haven't like deep dived into StepIn, so I won't comment on it exactly, but I don't think this will be a sustainable, in a long-term sustainability. There's already a project, I forgot the name, so Animoca, and we incubated them together. So they're based out of Hong Kong. They already have 400K users, which is, I think, when StepIn started, it's way more than that. But I don't know, maybe, like I mentioned, there's a lot of speculation in the market, so that's also driving projects like StepIn a lot.
Okay, awesome. So, all right, any parting thoughts from the panel here before we take questions?
Let's take questions.
All right, we'll open up for questions. Mateo? Yeah?
You take this now?
In terms of like timelines of when you guys foresee monetization of metaverse assets happening and actual experiential immersions which are revenue generating, which is the whole promise of metaverse, right? I mean, that's what we're all waiting for. Anything you're observing in your respective fields where there are some monetization tools going on, and what are those that you can talk about? Thanks.
So the entire vision and mission for Metaverse, I believe it's largely not just money driven, but I think like coming back to your question, I think there's one studio I can talk about. It's Decental Games based out of, it's in Decentraland, the VR space. So it's a Metaverse casino. It's already generating a lot of revenue, and I think that's special with Web3 because a lot of protocols don't generate revenue, only tokens, pump and dump. But revenue generation is unique in Web3, and that game is already doing that with a good solid user base and retention as well. So that's a good start, I would say, and they're driving this way to an economy as well. So that might also go back in the near future to how we are seeing this fashion thing coming, and all the biggest of the fashion brands like D&G and Adidas and everyone is coming into the space. So that's one example. And I believe like building gaming studios in the metaverses and maybe e-commerce, something I'm like really bullish upon is e-commerce into the metaverse. You don't have to literally go to shopping malls. You can just literally install stores and phygital, you say, how physical and digital gets attached. So just go and travel into the metaverse, do shopping there, and all the clothes get delivered to your home and an asset into your wallet. So digitally verified as well. I feel there are like bunch of use cases, but e-commerce would be a huge one. We've already seen the success, how e-commerce has taken over the world.
Splinterlands is another one. I don't know if you've seen. I think it's number one on DApp report consistently. I think Axie came and went, but Splinterlands has been around, and it's a tough game, at least from what I saw, and still like it has 300K daily active users and real transactions, real revenue. So there is some hope, and we hope more and more can come.
Yeah, I think just to add on, right, the VR, AR component definitely is going to take things to the next level. When it comes to shopping, Amazon's easy. Everybody uses it. But the whole experience that you can get in a full-blown metaverse is a little different. And I think that's what really is going to come into play when you think about the e-commerce side of things. So, yeah.
Hello. I'd like to know your opinion on what do you think, when do you think India will have more AAA game studios and maybe even AA game studios? And don't we need those first before we can talk about Metaverse and Web3 games?
Let me take this. See, India is, in my opinion, and I've said it in past also, India will remain at the top mid-core, hardcore gamers. It will remain an import market. We are not China, which has a balls where global publishers can't come and publish the games. We are pretty Atithi Deva Bhava country, and where we kind of really have global games coming and doing it, and also we are very attuned and very intertwined with the Western communities and cultures. So I don't see the necessity for having a game made in India for the gaming revenues to grow. The gaming revenues can grow in India, and they are growing, by the way, in in-app purchases. And hopefully, if we are able to kind of remove the onboarding frictions and educate more and more Indian players on to play and earn, and we have right set of games, not the games which take 20 minutes to bloody get into it, then you will see much more revenues coming in. So that's what it's going to happen. I believe what we need to solve for the frictions. The content entire globe will solve, and they will all come to India because the population dividend we have.
Thank you. Is there a specific company, Manish, you think that can take advantage of that?
I have no comment on that.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, one
We have
question
there.
here.
Hi. So we have seen this new paradigm where the fundraise is happening through IDOs, IEOs, and now INOs, right? Where actually the incentive alignment with the people investing is pretty high because they are part of the product. And we are talking about traditional investors here. How do you see the incentive alignment and how traditional investors of Web 2 can contribute in Web 3?
ये ट्रेडिशनल बैठे हुए हैं, लो भाई जवाब दो.
See, fortunately, still software is built by humans and not by software. And so, like traditional investors became traditional investors because at some point they were investing in frontier. And now that frontier is taken for granted as traditional. But so I think the biggest contribution we can make to the ecosystem is to just share with the entire traditional ecosystem that this is the frontier and attract enough talent and accelerate the migration of talent so that this becomes increasingly a reality. So I think our biggest role is to evangelize and get more and more investment here. Capital is easier, but like the talent migration, so that like next year this group is 10 times the size and the following year like everybody's here. So I think that's the biggest role we can play.
Got it, thanks.
Thank you, Shitij. I think we've run out of time.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you to the panel. Thank you, Shitij, for hosting a wonderful panel. Yeah, a photo with all of you all, please.